Today, we're going to do some gameplay of Seawolves Solitaire, Battle for the Atlantic, 1939 to 1942 by Javier, Rubio, Torres. We will be commanding a Type 7A U-boat. The Type 7 U-boat was the most common type of German World War II U-boat. 703 were built by the end of the war. We will be playing in campaign mode, starting our first cruise in January 1940. We start with plotting a course for our first cruise. Let's dive into this. So I created a ship's log that I use to help plot my course and keep track of my battery and fuel expenditure to make sure I don't get stranded out in the ocean and die. I mean, that can happen if you're not planning. So I created this document, which is freely available on the BGG website. I will have a link in the description to the document that you can use. So very quickly, you see I start at AN 98, and submerged under battery power, we move to AN 96. We adjust our battery level to 50%. Our fuel is still at 10. Our fuel reserve hasn't been touched, is at 3, and it is daytime. Turn 2, we take our current location, which is AN 96, and we're going to surface and use fuel and move to AN 69. Our battery goes from 50 to 75%. Our fuel drops from 10 to 9.5. Fuel reserves untouched. It's still day. And you can see how this progresses all the way through. And again, I mark the events. So like on turn 11, I will have an event. I have my day-night cycle. And so I can plot my course to where the target is. And in this case, we are headed out to AM 89 to lay 6 mines. We have a long voyage ahead of us, and I wanted to make sure that we could get there and get back. And as you can see, heading outbound to our target, dropping our mines, returning back to port, we use up all of our fuel, and all we're left with is our reserve fuel. So this is a long mission, and it's going to get cut very close on both our battery and our fuel usage. Here's a visual representation of our outbound and inbound legs of our cruise. Turn 1, it's daylight. We're going to leave the port submerged. Our fuel stays at 10, our battery drops to 50%. We check the sighting table, we roll a 3, no sighting. Turn 2 is daylight. We surface, we move from area AN 96 to area AN 69. Our battery is recharged up to 75%. Our fuel drops from 10 down to 9.5. We roll on the spotting chart. Oh, at 12, we've been spotted. We roll for the effects on the aircraft attack table. We roll a 9. That's a failed attack. Oh man, lucky us. We're just getting out of port. Dudes, leave us alone. Turn 3, it's daylight. We're still on the surface. We move from AN 69 to AN 65. Our battery now is fully charged to 100%. Our fuel drops from 9.5 to 9. We roll on the spotting table. We roll an 8. We're not spotted. Turn 4, it's still daylight. We submerge. We go from AN 65 to AN 62. Our battery drops to 50%. Our fuel stays at 9. We roll on the spotting table. We roll a 6, not spotted. Turn 5, it's now nighttime. We surface. We go from area AN 62 to AN 46. Our battery charges up to 75%. Our fuel drops to 8.5. But because we're in a blue area and it's nighttime, the only spotting can be by aircraft, and aircraft can't spot us at night. So we don't even have to roll. And we'll take every advantage we can. Turn 6, it's still nighttime and we're on the surface. We move from AN 46 to AN 42. Our battery charges up to 100%. Our fuel drops down to 8. We roll on the spotting chart. We roll a 3. We're not spotted. Let's hope that luck stays with us. Turn 7, still nighttime. We submerge. We go from AN 42 to AN 41. Our battery drops to 50%. Our fuel stays at 8. On our spotting chart, we roll a 4. Luck is with us. We're still unspotted. Turn 8. It's now daylight. We surface. We go from AN41 to AN15. Our battery drops to 75%. Our fuel drops to 7.5. Keep in mind, we're in a red zone now. We roll an 8 and spot a ship. We're still on our outbound leg. We need to get these mines laid and worry about sinking ships on the way back, so we're going to ignore this spot and move on. Turn 9, it's still daylight, and we're on the surface. We're going to move from AN15 to AM38. Our battery will be fully charged now at 100%, but our fuel drops to 7. On the spotting chart, remember, red area, we roll a 6 and remain unspotted during the daylight. Whew! I'm not going to complain about that. So turn 10, it's still daylight, and we're submerged. We move from AM38 to AM3. Our battery goes to 50%. Our fuel stays at 7. Oh, we roll a 2 on the spotting chart. We roll on the aircraft attack table. We roll a 5 plus 2 is 7. That says roll on the damage table. We roll an 8 on the damage table. Sorry I didn't get a picture of the dice roll. An 8 is a radio, but it does say radio, no effect on this mission. Whew! That was a bit lucky. Well, we'll take it. Turn 11, it's daytime. We're on the surface. We move from AM03 to AM64. Our battery is recharged to 75%. Our fuel drops to 6.5. We do have an event. Oh, we roll an 8. We have a diesel malfunction. Okay, let's roll to repair. We get a 5. We don't repair. Okay, now movement is impacted with this diesel malfunction. We can't move 2 on the surface. We can only move 1. I'm going to have to recalculate this. Okay, so after recalculating a new course, looks like we can get back to port in about, what is that, 17 turns? Something like that? With 0.5 fuel left just before we hit our reserves. That's assuming we don't lose any more fuel or have anything adverse happen to us between now and then. So we're not going to complete our mission. There's no way we can get to the target area, set our mines, and get back to port. It's just not possible. So we're forced to abandon the mission. Alrighty, let's turn around and get heading home. So from turn 12 to turn 18, it's pretty uneventful. We did spot one ship and chose to ignore it, but we're going to fast forward to turn 19 and pick up the action from there. Turn 19, it's dark. We are going to submerge. We're going to move from AN41 to AN42. Our battery will drop to 50%. Our fuel is at 4. We spot a ship. Now you'll notice this is our last red square before we move into the blue areas, which means we'll only have aircraft encounters. So we are going to go ahead and engage this ship. We start the encounter submerged at nighttime. We position our submarine facing zone 8. Next we roll for the position of our spotted ship. We roll a 10 and place a counter in the outer ring in zone 10. We now go to the campaign ships table and we roll for what ship we've encountered. We roll a 42, which is the Royal Archer. It is a small British steam merchant ship with 2 hull points and a total tonnage of 2266. We'll get 2 experience points for sinking this ship, assuming that we do. The Royal Archer was mined and sunk on 24th of February 1940. The mines had been laid 3 months earlier by the German U-boat U-21. All the crew were rescued except for 1 who died from their injuries. Kind of a cool little side note of history on the Royal Archer. We also have to roll for an escort, and there is one. We roll for its location, and luckily we roll a 2, a false contact. The way this cruise has been going, we're going to take that. I'm not even going to complain. Now we have 2 actions. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to reposition our U-boat facing zone number 9. Second thing we're going to do is we're going to move closer to the Royal Archer by 1 zone. Now it's the Royal Archer's turn to move. We're undetected and unspotted. It is going to move 1 zone closer to us. So one thing to remember, the Class 7A U-boat can only hold 11 torpedoes. We use 6 of those slots to carry our mines, which we still have, by the way. So that leaves us only with 5 torpedoes to try to sink ships with. So we fire 3 of our torpedoes. We roll a 4, a 5, and an 8. 4 and a 5 are both a miss. An 8 is a hit. We roll a 3 on our hit table. It's a dud. It's going to leave us with just 2 torpedoes left. So the Royal Archer now turns and flees, moves away from us. We move closer with one of our actions. We fire our final 2 torpedoes. That's all we have left. A 5 is a miss. A 10 is a hit. We roll for damage. Ugh. A 6 is another dud. Oh my god. Okay guys, so we fired all 5 torpedoes. 3 misses, 2 hits, 2 duds. The Royal Archer is still running from us. This time we surface and we move a little closer. And the Royal Archer still runs. We close the distance. I think it's time for some deck guns. The range of the deck guns is actually 1. I happened to fire at it at 2, so I misplayed that. But the fact of the matter is I could have easily chased down the Royal Archer and got my shot off at 1. So that's how I'm going to play it out. And you'll see I did roll to hit. I rolled an 8 and hit it. And on our damage, we rolled an 11, which did 2 damage to it, which was enough to sink the Royal Archer. Hey, so we finally got a little bit of happiness on this cruise. If we're able to get back to port, at least it won't be empty-handed. Alrighty, so coming out of that combat, it's now turn 20. Our battery is at 75. Our fuel is at 3.5. It's daytime and we're on the surface. We roll an 8, no aircraft encounter. But it is an event. So let's roll on that chart. We roll a 6. Now this is an E1, and I actually misplayed this and read the E2 chart. And a 6 is I can attempt to repair now for a cost of 1 fuel, which is what I do. We roll an 8, which does not repair our ship. So now it's still turn 20. Our battery is at 75%. Our fuel drops from 3.5 to 2.5. We're still on the surface. It's just, we've got a little luck and lots of bad luck on this cruise. We're so close to port. Let's see if we make it or not. Oh my gosh. Alrighty, so we jump ahead to turn 22. We are now in area AN34. We roll for spotting. We roll a 12, so we're spotted by aircraft. We roll on the damage. We roll a 4, which is 2 damage. But we are submerged, so that's a -2 on, or excuse me, a +2 on that roll. So that turns into a 6, which is still 1 damage. we are not catching a break here at all. So 1 additional damage, and we're so close to port. Let's push on. We have at least 1 more event before we get to port. Let's see if we survive that. So it's an E2 event on turn 26. It's daylight, we're on the surface. You can see our statistics. Our battery is at 75%. Our fuel is down to half a unit. We roll an 11 on the E2 chart, which is a hull breach. Now I make another mistake here and roll 2 dice as opposed to 1. But I roll a 5, and we're unable to repair the hull breach. We take a point of damage. I'm not going to worry about the mistake at this point. We're so close to ending this cruise, and we actually make it to port uneventful at this point. So, rough cruise. Let's do a debrief. Alrighty guys, a short debrief of our mission. Our original mission was to lay some mines off the southern coast of Ireland, but because of a diesel malfunction, we were forced to turn around almost on target and come back to port, which was mostly uneventful, but not completely. We did engage 1 ship, the Royal Archer, and were able to sink her with our deck gun after firing 5 torpedoes, 3 misses, 2 hits, 2 duds. Ooh, that was a little frustrating. We were then spotted by an aircraft, and luckily we were submerged, but we did take some damage, which I think ultimately led to a hull breach, which caused even more damage. But we were able to limp back into port, gained a few experience points, ready to continue our campaign. A couple of thoughts on the game. One of the questions I've been asked a lot is this just a follow the tables kind of solitaire game, which there are a few of them out there like that. And how much agency does this game give you? I felt I had quite a bit of agency, from the plotting of my course to the decisions to engage, and then to the types of how the engagement was handled. With the movement, as abstract as it was, I did feel that I had quite a bit of agency. So I think if that's what you're looking for in a solo game, I think you're going to be pleased with the way it plays out. It's not a perfect game. I don't think there are any perfect games. But I had a very good time, a lot of fun, and I got a sense that I was actually in a submarine trying to sink some cargo ships and avoid being detected. On that aspect of the game, I give it full marks. As always, thank you for watching what I do here on the channel. Like, comment, if you have any, please subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you in the next one. Goodbye for now.